Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'm going to talk about the latest Tory sleaze scandal. Another sting, being caught on video, and this one is worse than the led by donkey sting. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So now, this isn't the immigration minister being banned from driving for spectacularly breaking highway laws. This is proper parliamentary skullduggery of the sort that initially weakened Boris Johnson. Could do the same to Sunak if he doesn't get a grip. In fact, aspects of this latest scandal centred around Tory MP Scott Benton, he's been a very naughty boy, have got echoes of the 90s cash for questions scandal, which contributed to the end of the last excessive period of Tory government. Only this time, we haven't just had a story break. We've got footage of the Tory MP in question explaining in detail how he can abuse his position as an MP for cash. This has the potential to have a major impact. Essentially, this MP has been caught out in a journalistic sting offering to influence government policy in return for cash. In many ways, it's a good job this broke last night because I'm off on a short break tomorrow. But this could get very spicy. In fact, I'll tell you how serious this is. It's not just that Rishi Sunak removed the whip from the MP in question. He needed to do that. He did it really quickly. Basically, the news broke. Then there were calls for the whip to remove. And then it was. All in the space of yesterday evening. Sunak's been a bit slow in the past to deal with things like this. But this is huge and he couldn't afford to mess about. In fact, interestingly, Benton technically doesn't have a seat for the next election. I don't think he's going to get one now. Because even if he had the whip restored before the next election, candidate selections are going on. So whatever else happens, it's safe to say his parliamentary career is probably coming to an end now. What we have here is very much like the Owen Paterson scandal that was the beginning of the end for Boris Johnson. Only this was a sting. So no actual corruption took place as such, but proof that an MP was happy to corrupt his position as an MP for cash. That being said, that Benton was able to describe in fluent detail how he could benefit a company corruptly means that he has certainly seen how it's done and maybe has experience of doing it for previous organisations. What Benton explained to the journalist was not only how he could break parliamentary rules to help a company in return for money, but that he would be willing to do so. And unlike the led by donkey sting, what Benton here was agreeing to in principle was absolutely against the rules. In this case, he was open to the idea of trying to influence government policy and ultimately the laws around gambling in return for money from the gambling industry. In the video footage taken by The Times, Benton explained how he was able to lobby ministers and even get information that could be useful to an organisation willing to pay for it. I mean, holy crap. Those of us paying attention to politics knows this is going on. We know it's going on. We can see it going on all the time. But having an MP explain it in a video like this is quite powerful because it's undeniable. Ordinarily, you read about things, you follow a chain and you can see this sort of corruption going on. You can read about it from a journalist or in court documents and you can follow the chain. But it's all very dry. Most people read it and go, okay, what does that mean? They either take it in or they don't. This is a video of a sitting MP for the party of government saying in a really clear way. I mean, going back to the led by donkey stings of the likes of Kwasi Kwarteng, Matt Hancock and so on, you think, so why were they bad? So to members of the public, they were bad because they showed their greed. Now, someone like me looked at those videos and saw more. So for example, why would those MPs, particularly someone like Matt Hancock, no discernible skills at all, why would they think that a company wants to pay them anything like £10,000 a day for their time? It's not for their expertise. They don't have any. They don't want expert advice. They want them to help that company get access to ministers, basically. They may want an inside track on getting public contracts. They may want to, as was the case with the Benton sting here, want to lobby for changes to the law or to maintain a law that the government is thinking of changing. Whatever it is, that company will pay £10,000 a day for in order to get the services of a sitting MP from a party of government It's for something they wouldn't be able to do openly in public. But an ordinary member of the public doesn't necessarily think that through. They think on the video, were they offering to do anything against the rules? Well, no, they were just offering to work for £10,000 a day. You know, so they thought it was bad because these MPs were willing to take days off from their duties as MPs in return for a lot of money. It was greedy, even unprofessional, but nothing more. But this sting from Benton's really bad. It looks really bad to ordinary members of the public. It's not just greed being exposed, like with the other sting. This one is getting him to explain how he can and is willing to corruptly earn that money against the rules. And in doing so, he doesn't just expose himself as corrupt, but the entire Tory government. After all, Benton being corrupt doesn't help a business who wants to hire him if the ministers he needs to approach tell him to piss off, because he's just a backbencher. He's got no say. You know, so if the government itself were not corrupt and he tries to go to a minister, no, I'm not handing you these confidential documents before they're supposed to be published. No, I'm not going to let you influence our policies for a sack of cash. No, I'm not interested in meeting with this so-called friend of yours. That Benton is able to sell access to confidential documents and time is only possible because of the whole rotten party in government. And anyone can see that from the video footage. Because he didn't just drop himself in it, he dropped ministers in it as well. You don't need to read between the lines because Benton lays it all out. And like I said, Sunak could see this was bad. Withdrawing the whip, that was done very quickly. At the end of the video, reporting the Times, it does note that Benton said he made inquiries about the nature of the role after the interview and then didn't go ahead with it because it turned out he'd be breaking parliamentary rules. He said that he did this before finding out they were journalists. That will be bullshit. What he'll have done is he'll have done what he should have done ahead of the meeting, checked the company out, found out, oh, there's no such company. Oh dear, I've been stung just like those fellas. Actually, when he was stung, it might have been before the led by donkeys thing broke. But he'll have realised it was a sting because he'll have seen the company was fake. You know, I said when I talked about the led by donkeys sting, I couldn't understand how the MPs in question just didn't research the company ahead of their interview and find out it doesn't exist. So I think what Benton's done here is I think he has looked them up, found out it doesn't exist and thought, oh dear. You know, in the video, he knows he's breaking the rules. He says as much. It's not like later on he discovered. He said as much in the video that it's against the rules. As a final thought, I do wonder if this will give MPs pause for thought now, especially Tory MPs, although other MPs might need to be a bit careful. Just because it's centred on Tories at the moment doesn't mean to say it always will be. You know, we've had the led by donkey sting, which pretended to be interested in hiring MPs as consultants. Now we have a sting which is very much the 90s style cash for questions. Will Tory MPs approached for this sort of skullduggery now think twice? Maybe they'll wonder if it's a genuine opportunity, you know, or if it's as bent as a £2 note, another media sting that's going to threaten their entire political career. Maybe it'll have the effect of actually reducing the overall level of corruption in Westminster for a bit, you know, out of fear that they might be falling for a sting. We'll find out, I suppose. I would not be at all surprised if another group of journalists attempts to do something like this in a few months, maybe let the dust settle, then try it again in a few months' time. If any Tory MPs fall for it then, not only must they be incredibly thick after these two escapades, but it would really expose the party as irredeemably corrupt. Because really what should be happening now is Rishi Sunak should be laying down the law. Rishi Sunak should be saying certainly to all of his ministers, be careful here. And to his backbenchers, you be careful as well, because this damages the party's reputation. Withdrawing the whip, fine. I mean, how many times has Rishi Sunak had to withdraw the whip? He's only been Prime Minister for a bit over half a year. How many times? Well, how many times has he had to withdraw the whip already? It's all right withdrawing the whip. But the party is still damaged. Essentially, the next sting will not just be testing whether or not Tories are all corrupt, but whether they're really stupid as well. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.